Ballers assemble.
Assemble. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Beats and Balls Show, the alternative sports entertainment podcast, coming at sport objectively, but with a bit of humour thrown into the mix. So rest assured, we're not going to be talking about tactics or anything like that. We're sticking strictly to the culture around the sports. I am JR, and to help me out today, I am joined as ever by that guy. It's that Guy Kenn. How are you doing, Ken?
Very, very good. Hustle, hustle. The show must go on.
Yes. How's 2021 treating you so far, man?
It's been a good year, you know. I can't even complain. I mean, we've only just about finished January, so this time last year we thought it might be a different year and it might be okay. But
so optimistic this time last year.
Exactly. So right now I'm just staying. It's been good. All right.
Take it month by month.
You know what? That's what I'm doing this year. I'm creeping into each month. Like, when you open a door, then you look around the corner just to make sure there's nothing in there. Like, okay, yeah, all right, cool. I'll slowly creep.
And the man who's on a bit of a weird Conor McGregor hype at the moment, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. It's Mr. Crisp. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. In the words of the immortal that Guy Kenn, the hustle must continue.
The hustle must continue. The show must go on.
The show must go on. There you go.
Yeah, man. You've been busy, man. Carl, you've been non-stop producing shows, like left, right, and centre. This is your bread and butter. So how are you feeling about this one coming up?
Like Conor McGregor, it's going to be lit.
Does he use that word? Has Conor McGregor ever said lit? I don't know. I'm not sure about that one.
I'll do a bit more research once we've done. Okay, so we are Beats and Balls. We are a sports entertainment podcast, and today we want to discuss some of sports' heavy hitters. In particular, we want to know what it takes to transcend your sport, and what does that even really mean? We'll also be discussing some of sport's greatest crossovers. Athletes who have decided that glory in one sport just isn't enough for them and who go in search of dominance elsewhere. And as always, we'll be bringing the show to a close with our regular game of Baller of the Week, where Ken and I go head to head, each nominating a person or group who have been outstanding in their field. And of course, we'll be at the mercy of Mr. Crisp. But before any of that, we're going to head straight into the socials. Ken, what have you got for us?
Well, it's the drama at Stamford Bridge, isn't it? Legendary Frank Lampard is no longer
Super Frank.
Super Frank is no longer super, is he?
No. He's been shown the door, man.
You know what it is? It's kind of weird because after the Leicester game, a friend of mine said to me, sent me a message. He goes, "How long do you think Frank has?" I said to him, "How long do you think it takes to spell Tuchel?" And literally 6 days later, he was shown the door. Were you surprised?
To be honest, I was surprised. Like, I know that they operate a revolving door at Chelsea, but I just felt like it is a club legend, isn't it? And I know that you can't have these exceptions, and especially for such an inexperienced manager. But I just felt that he'd been given at least till the end of the season, maybe another one, like at a push. But yeah, for me, it came out the blue. It was a shock. I heard it on the radio. I was just, yeah. Man.
No, the thing is, what I found with it wasn't a shock per se, because at the end of the day, when you spend that kind of money, you expect at least maybe one of them to be doing really well.
We're talking about Havertz and Werner, yeah?
Havertz, Werner, Ziyech. Thiago Silva was doing his job at the back, but you can't bring in all of these players. And then you also buy Mendy, you buy Ben Chilwell, you buy all of these players. There's a lot of players you bring in. And at least you want to be in contention, or at least look like you're firing in all cylinders. And Chelsea were not.
But I honestly thought they'd give him a little bit more time. But I suppose when in this business now, if a manager's available, whether you're happy with who you've got or not, if you're looking over at the next guy, you've got to be like, well, he's available now. We've got to go and we've got to make moves.
I think the one of the biggest things was that Tuchel was available. You have to understand that alone made them think, look, if we don't grab on this now, something could go wrong at United, something could go wrong. So he could sign a pre-contract with any other club somewhere, and he's available. It's January, he's available. You know, it's still got half a season to go. You know, obviously, we know how Roman Abramovich operates, so he could be literally sitting on a boat, he could be drinking champagne, and the caviar is not nice, and he'll sack you. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, they've sacked managers in the tunnel before, haven't they? Like, after a game, it's like, that's it, you're done, finished.
Yeah, so there are rumblings.
So yeah, it's ruthless at that place, man.
You know, because at the end of the day, at least the one thing Arsenal have, sorry, I'm going to bring back to Arsenal because my team is beloved. At least we don't sack managers like that. I mean, I think with Emery, that was coming, but we took a very, very specific gamble on someone like Arteta. And we were fighting relegation, as people had the audacity to say to us, the cheek. All of my fans out there that had the cheek to message me and make Arsenal memes. I'm coming for you. But anyway.
I think your own fan base did that as well.
That is true. Why are you going to go there? Why are you going to go there? Anyway, but yeah, at least we weren't going to do it. And nobody would have bet Frank to be the first one to go.
But this is what I mean. Like, I don't think there would have been another club of Chelsea's level that would have taken him. I believe he was there purely because of his status at the club. So I can't see when a next big job is going to come from. I honestly can't. You don't get a top job in any of the top leagues having had a season at Derby County. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And you didn't get him promoted either.
No, exactly. So I feel like he's got a long road ahead of him if he wants to become a top manager. But he's got to earn his stripes like everyone else has, I suppose. Yeah,
your privilege gets you nowhere, Mr. Your football privilege gets you nowhere.
Did you pull out the privilege card?
Your football privilege gets you nowhere. Go back and learn the trade.
He's got it, man.
That is true. That is true.
Start in the lower leagues, man. When you've got like dads shouting on the sidelines and all that. Yeah, man.
Exactly. In the trenches.
All the rough stuff.
Exactly. What else? What else was on the socials?
So my pick from the socials is it's a bit of a curveball away from sport. Actually, it's the chaos that's been going on in the last week or so on the stock market. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't know anything about the stock market, but I've had to learn a little bit. So basically it started on this thread on Reddit where people were being encouraged to disrupt
GameStop.
The GameStop shares. So they were being shorted or short sold. And so it's basically a game that the rich people play of borrowing shares, selling them, buying them back at a cheaper price, and then pocketing the profit, essentially.
That's right.
So what people have been doing is driving up the prices of these shares so that there's essentially no profit to be made, and it's all losses. And these big hedge funds on Wall Street are just not happy about it, man. And I love it. I'll be honest, I love it. It's almost like we've kind of turned up in their playground and we're just there to ruin their fun, and it's beautiful. I like it.
At the end of the day, while we were in lockdown and while we're all at home trying to find out another way of making that hustle or making that dollar, making that money, people are learning what's happening in the investment markets. At the end of the day, you give people the opportunity to to pick up that knowledge, they're going to begin to figure out a couple of things. And now that they have figured out these little small things, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to be like, hold on, wait, so this is what people are doing. Let me get involved. Let me have a little bit of that.
Exactly. And people en masse have got the power to take over the game, man. It's like what I saw something on Twitter. It was like, because it's the whole GameStop thing. It was like, okay, the game stops now. Like, yeah, man.
I think the company that was actually was leading this. I'm not exactly sure. Is Robin Hood? I know there's something that has to do with the Robin Hood organization. Are they the bad guys or the good guys in the story? I don't even know. Is Robin Hood actually stealing from the rich and giving to the poor?
So
stealing from the poor and giving to the rich.
I feel like they started off as the good guys because they were a platform that allowed the everyday amateur trader to get their foot in the door almost. But then when all of this started to go down and the share prices started to rocket, they took GameStop off of the platform. So it was then only available for the big businesses and the big hedge funds to do their business with, basically to kind of quell this like never-ending rise in the value. So it's kind of ironic, really. Like, yeah, Robin Hood's supposed to be stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. They ultimately ended up showing their true colours and swinging the other way. So, yeah, I think it's good to keep your finger on the pulse in general, but definitely how this is going to play out is going to be really interesting. So, yeah, man, that's kind of been taking over my socials recently. Anyway,
this is the Beats and Balls.
Beats and Balls.
This is the Beats and Balls show.
So, imagine you're an athlete at any level. We want to know what it takes to be able to put down your area of expertise and just simply pick up a new one. Which basic skills do you need to be able to do this and to go on and excel? And particularly at the highest level of sport, why there's so many examples of athletes who want to transition from one sport to another. So, Ken, you are our resident athlete in the group. So would you like to quickly remind the audience of your sporting background and maybe give us your thoughts on this?
Yeah, sporting background. So basically, when I started running. When I first came to the UK, I used to run 100 meters at the age of 15. I transitioned from 100 meters to 200 meters. And then I used to run for London. I ran at Cambridge Harriers with the legendary javelin thrower Steve Backley. So he was part of our club. And I trained in very high level competitive, athletics, 200 meters. And I dabbled in long jump for a few years up until I got to university. And then my running turned into chasing women. So, so let me not lie. I was a performance athlete for a very long time. Got into football a lot when I was like kind of 18, and by then I don't think my football was going to be as because obviously running for track is very different because it's not a team sport. It's individually. You're very single-minded in terms of what you do. Whereas football, obviously, it's all about a team and working together as a unit. So there is that aspect in terms of the level of high-level training that you must be to be a very high-performance athlete. But I think certain sports are very different. So I think we'll go into that during the course of this conversation. But yeah, it's look, to be at that level that we're talking about, you need to be dedicated. And I think one of the main areas is you got to start early, very early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like look at your Tiger Woods, look at your Serena and Venus Williams. Look at anyone who is really quite top of the game. Start early. You don't see them come in at mid-20s and then all of a sudden you're a phenomenon. Nah, people are phenomenon, and you're talking about them from the moment they could pretty much walk or hold some kind of racket or instrument or whatever it is. You kind of have to, and then you have to be unbelievably focused. The level of concentration and determination you have to have has to be A1. I mean, like Cristiano Ronaldo is not probably one of the best performance athletes in the world simply because he just turned up and decided to be a phenomenal freak of nature. No, he drilled himself into being the athlete that he is now. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are so many examples of people that have tried to transition through different sports, but it generally comes at the end of their career. And I can understand it. It's like they've kind of reached the pinnacle. They've achieved everything they can possibly achieve in that sport of choice. Like you said, they've given absolutely everything to get to the top.
That's right.
And almost it's like their bodies are now sort of on the decline. They might be slightly over the hill. They're past their peak. And that's when they decide to make the switch instead of just retiring and going out. And I think almost like Usain Bolt is like a perfect example of this because he did it at both ends of his career. So at the end, obviously, he kind of made like world news because he suddenly decided he wanted to play for Man United out of the blue.
Yeah.
And then he got like